So, what we're playing here is The Wonderful End of the World. I found this game several years ago. The simplest way to define this game is store brand Katamari Damacy. So if you caught the... What? Log out of Steam? Why? Anyway, so if you caught the Katamari Damacy run yesterday. Sorry, that's not grammatically correct, but basically it's a similar concept. You just walk over stuff to get bigger, and that entire run is just get big until you meet a certain goal requirement. There's a little small nuances here that makes the game different than Katamari Damacy that I'll talk about as I play the game. So, this is The Wonderful End of the World. F5 to start, right?
Yes.
Alright, so we start from the gate, out of the gates, you'll see that we're copying similar ideas from Katamari. The only difference is that I'm not rolling up a ball, I'm just walking. So one of the main differences is there's no size meter here. We're not measuring anything in kilometers or feet or meters or anything. The game measures your size based on just the numerical amount of objects that you've picked up. In this case, I've rolled over 88 so far. So we want to just roll up to a certain amount. This stage's goal is 225 objects. The game doesn't actually tell you what that goal is. You just meet it and then you get kicked out of the level for meeting the goal. So
it's way easier to control, right?
This game is significantly easier to control, but there's not as much advanced movement tech as compared to Katamari Damacy. There's nothing like dashing or anything. It's just
your final grade is A+.
The main sources of movement tech here are utilizing boosting off of things that are bigger than you. You'll see that a couple of times in this run, but it's not super major. So there's the second level. What? Fine. If you've ever heard of this game before, chances are you probably heard about it sometime during the time that Portal 2 was coming out, as this was one of the featured indie games that they had for their whole potato scavenger hunt. So that got a lot of people aware of the existence of this game, but it really mostly just got the company some negative rap because, let's be real here, this game isn't amazing. It's suitable as a Katamari Damacy alternative, but if those aren't your types of games, and if you're forced to play through an ARG featuring a game with janky controls like this, you're probably just gonna hate it.
What was the potato hunt?
It was like a scavenger hunt where they hid stuff in a bunch of different games, and yeah, so people had to find secrets in all the games in order to basically get hints about Portal 2. Yeah, so the game wasn't incredibly amazing, but I think it was pretty straightforward. I didn't have any problems with it, so yeah. This was a level that a lot of people who tried playing this game complained about, but I feel like once you get the passing down here, like in Katamari, it's relatively straightforward, actually. A lot. Just a lot. All my marathons are run around collectathons.
All you need is a level like this.
End of round. Your final grade is A+. Well done.
So this is going to be a secret level that we're going to go into. If we hold Alt and U on this stage, it makes this level appear instead of the original level, which, if I get at least $30 donated during this run, I'll show off all the extra levels that I don't do. So make sure you get those donations in, and make sure you donate even more for the kids. So the first thing you'll probably have been noticing through this level is that I'm jumping. In this level and one of the other secret levels, they actually added in a jump mechanic, and both of those secret levels, this and another one that I'm not going to play through, have this jump mechanic included as a way, I guess, to make the game slightly more different and involve more aspects to the game as opposed to just running around. So we have some jump mechanics here, and the jump mechanics are, much like the rest of the game, really awful. You can sometimes jump off the same ledge more than once. it won't even look like you're actually on a jumpable surface, but it'll let you jump for some reason. Yeah. So the reason why we played through this secret level as opposed to the original level is because this level gives you a smaller time limit. And with that smaller time limit means that you can complete this level significantly faster. So, just overall, it's like objectively a faster level to play through. So, the goal here is to get around 300 something. And in the original level, that goal is around 676. So, you have to get half the items to clear the level.
End of round. Your final grade is A+.
And as you notice, I'm getting A+ in all levels. A+ is the best score you can get, obviously, and if time runs out, then you just get some other random score. If you get to, like I said, that maximum item requirement, then the game will just give you the A+ and end the level because you've already got as much as you needed to get. I'm not gonna lie, the soundtrack to this game is pretty decent. Like, I'd give some of the levels like an 8 out of 10 on music. Some of the levels like a 5 out of 10. Pretty solid soundtrack. That's a lie. It's a pretty okay soundtrack. Just like the rest of the game. If I had to rate this game, I would give it a solid 5.5 out of 10.
Solid, it's aight.
What?
It's aight.
It's aight. Like, if you like Katamari games, I'd give it maybe like a solid 7 out of 10. If it's like your style of game. If you don't know anything about like run around and collecting games, then you're probably gonna be like, why am I playing this? The walking garden, yes. And some random tiles. So one thing to mention in comparison to Katamari Damacy was that the routing in Katamari Damacy was based on picking up the biggest items you could to increase your size faster. In this game, that idea is kind of switched around a bit. Rather than getting what essentially is the biggest items, you want to find where items are most gathered, because rather than trying to get as big as possible, you want to gather up as many items as possible. So you don't need to worry about size as much as the availability of objects around you. So whenever we see a large cluster of objects, that's pretty much where we're going to pick all that stuff up. I'm going to try to get up here, but looks like the geometry is a bit off. Sometimes the game is inconsistent with the amount of objects you have and how big you actually are, so certain pickups won't actually happen as I intend them to on my pathing, which that's fine. So we're going to pick up some of the items in here, and the level will be over at 310.
End of round. Your final grade is A+.
So now we have
Well
Garden
done.
Botanical, which one thing I also want to mention, if you notice, you can hear the footstep sounds happen before the level actually loads in, so part of the important optimization of these routes is knowing what direction you should be holding in to maximize your speed and finishing the level. Typically it's just forward, but there are some levels like this where you have to hold like right or tilt your game in a certain direction so that you don't end up walking into a wall or anything. So, yeah, not much to say about this level. A good amount of these levels kind of follow a similar aesthetic of like being outside of a house or like in a garden or something. So there are a few levels where the aesthetic is pretty significantly changed, and you've seen that with the third level that we did with all the crates, and you'll see a couple more of those later in the run. You'll also notice that as I'm getting bigger, for some reason, certain levels, when you get bigger, the game decides to make you move at an incredibly slow pace. So this is also where the emphasis on picking up as many small objects as you can comes into play, because you want to make sure that your number of objects is already at a high enough number before you start moving incredibly slowly. Normally we want to end at the sunflowers, but
End of round.
we took a few extra
Your
seconds to end
final
at the trees
grade
instead.
is A+.
Why
Well
does the poster
done.
have your face on it?
Because I'm like, the character I'm playing as, that red-haired woman, is like a goddess who, the character that I'm playing as that you see that I'm walking around as is like a puppet that she's controlling so that she can collect up all the objects on Earth, because the world is ending soon. Yeah? The box art, it does look like something drawn on DVR. I mean, do you see the presentation of this entire game?
I'm honestly not really sure what's happening. I'm looking directly at it.
I mean, like I said before, it's literally store-brand Katamari. The world's ending, and you are playing as a goddess who controls this puppet that can roll stuff up so that when the world ends, you have objects from Earth in order to preserve what was destroyed.
Candy.
Like candy. Similar to Katamari, also, as we get into further levels, you'll see that we'll start getting bigger and start rolling up things like large buildings and houses. But some levels like these are just really quirky and have odd themes. Like this one is obviously like a Candyland-inspired level. And you'll see some of the other different inspired levels, like one based off of being inside of the world of a book, or like one being in like some weird 2D anime world, except everything looks like it came from Korean animation or something.
Oh,
I don't know how to describe it, but you'll see it when we get to it.
sounds like a trip.
30 minutes. World record is currently 26 minutes.
Who's the handsome holder of that?
As you can see by the stream title, or the
I
runner,
wrote, he did not write that. He did not put down world record holder.
that was Alex who wrote
That
that.
was me.
He's a humble man.
But yes, 4 people run this game as far as I know, and not many have tried since a while.
Since a while, since you crushed it.
End of round.
Now there was one
Your
person who
final
tried to
grade
run it,
is A+.
so
Well
there is
done.
interest in this game, probably existent somewhere. So yeah, I have routes for all these stages, and I'm pretty much following the same routes that I play through every time, though I can't honestly say if they're fully optimized or anything. I'd like to think they're pretty optimized, but pretty sure there are much faster routes to these places. Right, so the goal we're trying to get to here is around 125 before we get into the next area. So we got around 126, which will let us pick up a lot of objects that otherwise we wouldn't be able to pick up. So we get the that monkey, which then lets us get these bushes. So another difference I want to point out is that in Katamari there were always static values to what you could and couldn't pick up. This game kind of throws that out of the window. It's very inconsistent with when you can roll things up, and I'm pretty sure it can smell your fear and hesitation. So if you don't run into objects at a fast enough speed, or at a correct angle, you just won't pick things up. So you gotta make sure you know your pathing at the very least, so that you don't hesitate to run into things. And as you can see, I rolled over one of those cars, but sometimes the game will just think of how you're interacting with a certain object in a certain way and let you roll it up, but it won't let you consistently roll up every object like that. Also, if you've noticed, the game I don't think the developers know what it sounds like when you crash into an object. In Katamari Damacy, it clearly makes a hard-hitting thud sound. But if you can't hear the sound on the game for some reason, the game kind of just makes a weird, like, boom sound whenever you run into something. And I don't know what world Teenage Robot games comes from, but I've never ran into, like, a tractor and, like, just a low guttural, like, humming sound occurred. I'm pretty sure I'd be screaming.
Katie isn't sure about games that can smell your fear. Well, it's real. You're looking at it.
I know many games that can smell fear. I'm pretty sure Katamari smells fear too. That's why I can never get my Katamari dashes off correctly, because it knows that I'm hesitating. Not confident.
Like, when you grab it, it has a teleport
Into your body.
geometry.
End of round. Your final grade is A+. Well done.
Right. So like I said, Weird Worlds. Here we're inside a book, I'm pretty sure.
They gotta keep words.
Cat.
We have to keep literacy.
Literacy is important.
So yeah, the pathing in this stage, actually, I literally... There are times where I'll like go through this level randomly and just get a really good path, but I don't ever actually commit that path to memory. This is one of those instances where I've forgotten where I'm supposed to go. But the general idea is to roll up everything in the center area first, and then that pretty much gives you the size you need to roll up everything on the outer layer. So that's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Nice. Is Marone here? Interesting. Nah, man. Unless my donation incentives are met. So you can see these text letters are coming in a certain direction. Obviously, we'd want to be going in the reverse direction so that we're not trying to chase them down. And then we collect all the small text here because, like I said, you want to pick up all the smaller objects to make picking up everything else significantly faster. Right. There's another speed boost that you'll see here that'll plow me through a large chunk of words. So I'm not big enough for that yet. Big enough for these. So we're gonna get these letters over here. We're gonna get this hello. Alright. We're gonna speed boost again.
I was trying to say you are.
Alright. So now we just have to pick up these last larger words.
Yeah, it's yours. It's yours.
Alright.
End of round.
Plus.
Chips challenge.
I'm gonna go to the bibliodiscotheque, which that's not a real word. Nor does it make sense in any language, I don't think. Like, they just made the level sound something that probably they thought sounded cool. But it's kind of just confusing. Like, yeah.
Why does some of the stuff disappear?
I guess it's like sort of layering them in an order. So like the most recent things you pick up are what you can see essentially. So we want to get to about 118 to pick up some more apes. So we're gonna pick these up. I'm gonna run through the bananas. What? This only has what?
No, there's a bunch of levels.
Yeah, there's 12 levels in this game.
We were just in a book before.
No. That's fair. That's a fair estimation of
It's pretty
something.
meta if you found out you were a board game and you got big enough.
And then you like ended up traveling into another board game once you got big enough.
Yeah.
Like you've exited Candyland, now you're in Zathura. Please don't die. I should.
There's your boy looking real cute.
Shaboy.
End of round.
Alright.
Your final
So
grade
now we're gonna
is
go to a rice
A+.
cake paradise, which is
Well
that level I was
done.
talking about that looks like some 2D cartoon. This level has some weird interactions due to the fact that everything is in 2 dimensions, but this game is in 3 dimensions. Right. Good. We're gonna take these bees. Not the bees.
Dude, this world's like 2D. What's up with that?
This world is 2D, but you can see as I rotate, objects are also rotating with me. You'll also see that I get stuck on objects very easily in this world.
So it's like
It's kind of like Flat Zone, because it is literally a flat zone.
oh, jeez. You did it.
You'll see those lanterns are like the lanterns from Bumble Burbs, except they're in 2 dimensions now, but they're pretty much the same lanterns.
That's
One thing I like to mention is that this game sort of has a mechanic similar to quick turning in Katamari, where you can turn around really fast just by pressing the opposite direction of what you're facing, and you actually don't lose too much speed from it, which it's better than just regular turning a 180 by turning like the camera and your character left. So that's also one way that we increase our speed in this run, by knowing which times you have to do 90-degree turns or 180 degrees instantly. So there's like little small tech here that like gets you times faster than what someone who would be playing regular would be doing. So our main goal here now is to roll up most of the stuff into the town until we can pick up some trees. Then we're going to go off to the islands on the side of the map. So we're a good size now, we're in the 300s. So we're getting big. You'll notice again, like in one of the previous levels, that we're gonna start getting slow very soon. So I'm just gonna try to pick up as much as I can. I want to get to about 417 by the time I pick up all those ice cream cones. So I'm gonna stop over here. This level is very cute. So I'm gonna go around here. As you can see, there's a giant ice cream cone, and like what we've been doing before, we're just gonna boost off of that because it kind of just launches you. All right.
End of round. Your final grade
So we have 2
is
more stages
A+.
left: Skytop Mall
Well
and
done.
Megapolis. The Megapolis only actually opens up once you've finished and gotten an A on every other level in the game. So we know that the game is going to be done when we finish that level, because we didn't finish every other level with an adequate score. So this is the second to last level, and also one of the largest levels in the game, or at least one of the levels that requires you to be the highest number possible, which I believe the cap is 675 here. So we start off in the mall. We start off in a toy rendition of a city before actually going into the area and being large. So we've got a pretty slow start, but we're at the side that we need to be at, so I'm gonna walk in here. They are all done. They in a yogi boat taking a lamp on all the pillows. Alright, so
That's what they all do.
soon.
Yeah, oh,
Truly.
it must be.
Truly, we have become the wonderful places of the world.
Now we wanna missed that jump. We got that though.
Becky over there.
Just pick up Becky walking around. Look at that. We get these ladies looking at dresses.
Oh, it's sale time.
We get these I think their phones hanging off the wall. They make phone call buzzing noises, so I'm going to assume they're phones. And now we start picking up the walls soon. So I'm a bit smaller than I usually am on this route, but I think that should be fine. Once you get to a certain point, it's not going to even matter. Hey, Dave. Going well.
Picking up the wall.
Store brand Katamari.
Oh, we had them for the past couple years. A little fewer.
Oh, we're actually running pretty low on time, but I think we're going to be pretty good on the score. There we go. Didn't run out of time.
End of round.
We're at 25 minutes.
Your
We're
final
at one
grade
level
is
left.
A+.
Like I
Well
said,
done.
$30 are donated. I will show off the extra 2 levels that I didn't play through in this run. So I don't know if we actually have time for that. So we'll see. So this level also has some of my favorite music. It's a chill piano guitar piece. And it's pretty stark contrast from literally every other track in the entire game, which is kind of nice because at least they ended on a pretty solid high note.
Is this the world ending?
This is the world ending.
Oh, geez.
There's some fire over there.
There's some fire. And there's signs of my character saying, "Have you seen this woman?"
The world is...
And you can see some giant robots for some reason. I don't know if they are. Like, that's the same robot from one of the earlier levels, except significantly larger. Maybe? I'm not sure. I don't think I ever see police cars in this game. Alright. There's a lot of small trees in this area, which it's easy to miss them, which can result in losing some time if you don't pick them up at when it's conducive to getting picked up. Because if you get too big, you'll notice that your model actually won't pick up the object because your foot can't fit inside the hole.
I love that you're picking up your own sign.
Yes, taking a sign with my own face on it.
You gotta preserve that. That was
Alright. So the goal here is to get around 500 in the mid 500s. So after getting out of that small town area, the rest of the climb is pretty tedious because of how varied the building sizes are and how spread out they are.
Yeah.
So getting a consistent stream of building pickups gets a lot slower, so
very weird.
at 441, it's going to take a bit of time to pick up some of the rest of the buildings here, as you can see. I'm going to walk on top of this. Kind of makes sense. Megalopolis. If I run into that blimp, I'm going to get knocked back and then lose a lot of time, so hopefully we don't get knocked back.
Yeah, sorry, Corn TV. We don't have Mubot. However, we have been online for 23 hours and 15 minutes. We can give you that information.
That is true.
Something we have access to. Yeah. Every year is exactly like this.
You don't have tires. Oh, he's got. Ooh, okay. Oh, the tires.
Feels bad.
Oh.
Yeah. There he's okay. Yeah, and he has tires.
I am getting pushed around by this blimp.
You're building, man.
Yes.
It's like,
Like I said, being on the outer ring of the city makes picking up things a lot harder because the outer ring is all tall buildings, the inside is all small buildings, so getting a consistent stream is pretty hard.
That one tower that's like on your left.
Alright.
End
So,
of
next time.
round.
F8?
Your final grade
F6.
is A+.
Alright.
Well done.
Baby!
Alright. What? 26, 28. What is my world record? 26:28. All right. So let's tab out. Let's read out some donations if we got any.